Hello and welcome to the Fixit Shed. As you can see, I've got the Scotts Mower back on the work table. It hydrolocked on me, which means that fuel got through the carburetor and into the cylinder. To be honest, this probably happened about 2 months ago. I just haven't had a chance to get back to it. But when it happened, I pulled the spark plug out and pulled the pull cord, the starter cord, and fuel came out of the spark plug hole, so that's how I knew it was hydrolock. And then after doing that, I got the fuel out of the cylinder and I was able to put the spark plug back in and I got it to start. Problem is it also went into the oil, so it got around the piston and into the oil, so now the oil is contaminated, so I'm also going to have to change the oil. As you can see from the previous videos of this mower, it's a brand new carburetor and the needle and seat in the carburetor failed. So that's how the fuel got through and into the cylinder. So we're going to pull the carburetor out, see if we can figure out why the needle and seat failed.
Let's move the air filter out of the way. Okay. So what's happening is there's fuel in the fuel tank. This is the fuel line going down to the carburetor. So this fuel line is going into the carburetor, fills up the bowl. Inside the bowl is a float. Okay, I still have the old carburetor. So inside the float bowl is this float. Alright, so the carburetor is in this position. Okay, so this float, when it fills up with fuel, this float comes up. And you see back here there's a pin that's called a needle. And the needle presses up into the seat. You can see it up in here. It's going up inside the carburetor into the seat, and that seals off the fuel that's coming in here and filling up the float bowl. Now this comes up, and when it's full, it shuts off the float, or shuts off the flow of fuel into the carburetor, and that prevents it from overfilling. This carburetor for some reason didn't work. The float didn't come up and push the needle into the seat and shut off the flow of fuel. So what happened then is that this filled up into the carburetor with fuel, and then it went down the intake into the engine and filled up the cylinder. Once the fuel filled up the cylinder, then when I pulled on the pull cord to start it, it tries to compress the fluid instead of compressing air, and the fluid does not compress. So then that prevents the engine from turning. By removing the spark plug, that gave the fluid someplace to go, and it shot fuel out the front of the engine. Then the engine turned freely and I was able to start it briefly, and then I verified that the oil was overfull and had gas in it, and I haven't run it since. What we want to do is we want to find out why the float and needle and seat aren't working properly together to shut off the fuel. I did buy a fuel shutoff valve to put on it, and I don't trust the carburetor anymore. It was a cheap carburetor. This is the fuel shutoff valve that I'm gonna probably put in. I'm just gonna cut in the fuel line here and put the fuel shutoff valve in there. Alright, as you can see, I've removed the carburetor already. If you'd like to see how that's done, I'll put a link to it up here in the corner, but I'm not gonna bother showing it on this one because I've already shown it several other times on previous videos. Alright, so let's get the bowl off. I'm gonna open that over can just in case there's any fuel still left in here. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, there's a little fuel in there. But look how nice and clean that is. Shouldn't be any problem with this. But we're going to pull this pin out. And take the float off. Oops. And there's the needle. Alright, so I took a look. I'll show you some pictures. I did a close-up picture of the seat and also a couple of the needle. I'll put those up on the screen for you. Basically everything looks clean and smooth. even if I did something to make it better, I kind of feel like I wouldn't trust it. So I'm going to do what I had mentioned earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and put the fuel shutoff valve in the fuel line. The needle back in. So the pin's back in. Okay, so now this is functioning. Got the gasket back in place. I'm gonna put this back on here. Put the float bowl back covering the float. Put the nut and the bolt and the main jet back in place. Alright, now I'm going to put the carb back in here. Alright, so I got the carburetor back in place, and then the fuel line I've got it hooked up. So I'm just going to cut it right here, and I'm going to put the fuel shutoff valve right around the corner. Okay. That's on. It's got a slide clip on. That's on. Alright. There it is. Alright, that's on. There we go. Okay, so it started for fuel because I shut the fuel off, so that's what it's supposed to do.
Okay, it looks like the Scotts Mower is back in action. Thanks for joining me this week. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Take care.